I still see that blue checkmark turn into nothing. 1 second, her contact photo was there, her at a brunch last spring laughing with a mimosa in her hand, and the next second my text said delivered, then nothing. No delivered. No read receipt. Just a blank wall where my sister used to be. I called her landline from my neighbor's phone, just to be sure. She answered on the second ring. Hello, she said. I didn't speak. I just hung up. Because I knew then. She didn't forget me. She ghosted me. And I had been sleeping on her pull-out couch for 6 weeks, paying her $400 a month for the privilege of being invisible. Let me rewind a little. My name is Margaret, but everyone calls me Maggie. I am 61 years old, and for most of my life, I was the one who held things together. I worked 33 years as a receptionist at a dental office in Portland, Oregon. Nothing fancy, but I paid my bills. I raised my daughter Claire alone after my husband left when she was 4. Claire is in Austin now. She sells real estate and calls me every Thursday. That is our ritual. My younger sister Laura is 2 years behind me. We grew up in a small house near the coast with a porch that creaked and a garden that never grew tomatoes right. Laura was the pretty one, the one who got the scholarships, the one who married a contractor named Brad with a truck and a boat and a smile that said I made it. I was the quiet one who sent birthday cards on time and remembered how she liked her eggs. Over the years, our parents moved to Florida. Brad's business took off kitchen renovations mostly. He bought a 4-bedroom house in a suburb with a name I still can't pronounce. I stayed in my 1-bedroom apartment above a garage. My couch had a stain shaped like Florida. My car was a 2012 Honda that coughed on hills. Laura didn't visit much. When she did, she would look around my apartment and say things like, "Oh, Maggie, this is cozy." Cozy was her word for small. I never corrected her, because she was my sister, and sisters don't keep score. That was my mistake. Last February, my landlord sold the building. New owners wanted to renovate and raise rent. I got a 60-day notice taped to my door on a rainy Tuesday. I stood there in my bathrobe, watching the paper curl at the edges. 72 hours, notice for a man with a bulldozer. I had $1,400 in savings. My pension covered food and gas, and my blood pressure medication. That was it. I called Laura that night. I didn't cry. I just said, I need a place to land for a minute. Just until I find something. She put me on speaker. Brad said we have that pull-out in the office room. Laura said, of course, you can stay. You're my sister. I packed my whole life into 3 suitcases and a laundry basket. My mother's china teacup wrapped in a towel. My father's fishing license from 1987. A photo of Claire in her cap and gown. I drove 2 hours in the Honda. Laura met me at the door with a glass of wine and a smile that looked like the old her. That first week, she even made pancakes. But by day 10, Brad looked at my laundry basket like it was a stray animal that followed me home. And Laura started using a phrase I learned to hate. She said, let's just be practical. Practical meant 3 things. First, she asked me to contribute. Not asked, actually. She said, we're not a hotel, Maggie. $400 a month for utilities and groceries. I said, okay. Second, she moved my stuff from the office room to the garage. The garage had a concrete floor and a space heater that smelled like burned dust. She put a twin mattress on top of 2 old yoga mats. She called it the guest suite. I called it the garage. Third, she made rules. No coffee maker after 7 a.m. because the noise woke Brad. No phone calls after 9 p.m. because the kids had school. No using the washer on weekends because that was family laundry time. I started keeping my dirty clothes in a trash bag in the Honda. Every Tuesday, I drove to the laundromat 3 miles away and sat there for 2 hours watching dryers spin. The real pressure came from the small cuts, though. One night, I warmed up leftover soup in the microwave. Laura walked in and said, oh, that was for my lunch tomorrow. I put the soup back in the fridge and ate a banana. Another morning, I sat on the back porch with my coffee. Brad opened the sliding door and said, you mind moving? A landscaper needs to get through. There was no landscaper. He just wanted the porch empty. I started eating dinner in my car. The Honda became my dining room. I would sit in the driver's seat with a Tupperware of rice and beans and watch the sunset through a windshield covered in pollen. I lost 8 pounds without trying. My daughter Claire called one Thursday and asked how I was doing. I said fine. Everything is fine. But I was not fine. I was shrinking. Not physically only, inside. Where it matters. Then Laura sat me down on the garage mattress one evening and said something I will never forget. She said, "Maggie, we need to talk about your long-term plan." I said my plan is to find an apartment. She said, "Have you looked at senior housing? There's a place across town. Very affordable." She handed me a brochure. A photo showed a community room with folding chairs and a bingo cage. I looked at her face. She was not being cruel. She was being efficient. That was worse. Because cruelty you can name. Efficiency is just business. And I was no longer her sister. I was a line item in her household budget. I found out the truth on a Sunday afternoon. Laura had left her laptop open on the kitchen counter. She was upstairs with the kids. Brad was at a game. I went to get a glass of water. The screen was on a spreadsheet. I did not mean to snoop. But my name was right there in column B, Maggie. Column C said monthly contribution, $400. Column D said actual cost of occupancy, $720. Column E said shortfall, $320. Under that she had written in red font, subsidized by household. I stood there holding my water glass. Then I scrolled up. There were other tabs. One said Mom's estate. Another said Claire loan. I clicked on Claire loan. Laura had borrowed $8,000 from my daughter 3 years ago for a new roof. Claire had never told me. She probably did not want to worry me. The loan was marked repayment status past due. Laura had been driving a new SUV. Brad had bought a grill worth $1,200. And my daughter's money was gone. My money, the $400 a month I scraped from my pension, was marked as household miscellaneous income, not help, not family. Miscellaneous. I closed the laptop quietly. I did not wake anyone. I just went back to the garage and sat on the twin mattress and counted the cracks in the concrete floor. There were 11. I knew because I counted them twice. That night I did not sleep. I made a plan instead. A quiet one. No yelling. No crying. Just the kind of plan a woman makes when she realizes she has been invisible long enough. I started small. First, I called Claire the next Thursday and asked her straight. "Did you lend Laura $8,000? Claire went quiet. Then she said, "How did you find out?" I said that doesn't matter. What matters is you are not getting that money back. She started crying. I said, "Don't cry, baby. Just learn." Second, I opened a post office, box 2 towns over. $19 for 6 months. I had all my mail forwarded there, my pension statements, my medical bills, anything that mattered. Laura did not need to know my business anymore. Third, I called a woman from my church. Her name is Deborah. She is 73 and lives in a small duplex near the river. She said, "Maggie, I have a room. It's small. The toilet runs sometimes. But it's $350 a month, including heat." I said, "I'll take it." I did not tell Laura. I started moving things in my laundry basket every time I went to the grocery store. A sweater here. A photo there. My father's fishing license. The teacup wrapped in the towel. Each time I came back with milk and bread so no one noticed. I also stopped paying the $400. When Laura asked on the first of the month, I said I need to save for my own place. She frowned, but did not argue. That was when I knew she had already written me off. You do not argue with someone you have already decided to ghost. You just wait. And I decided I would not give her the satisfaction of watching me leave. I would just go. I left on a Wednesday morning. Laura was driving carpool. Brad was at a job site. The kids were in school. I loaded the Honda with my 3 suitcases, my laundry basket, and a trash bag full of kitchen things I had bought from Goodwill, a spatula, a saucepan, a plastic mixing bowl. I left my keys on the garage floor next to the twin mattress. And I left a note on the kitchen counter under a magnet shaped like a lobster. The note said, "Laura, I saw the spreadsheet. I saw what you wrote about Claire's money. I am not angry. I am not even surprised. I am just done. You don't owe me an explanation. I don't owe you a goodbye. Take care of yourself, Maggie. I drove to Deborah's duplex. The room was smaller than Laura's garage, but it had a window that opened and a door that locked from the inside. I unpacked the teacup first, put it on the windowsill. That night, I ate soup from the saucepan sitting on the floor because I did not have a table yet. And I smiled. A real smile. The kind you forget you know how to make. 2 days later, my phone buzzed. Laura. I let it go to voicemail. She said, Maggie, I can explain. The spreadsheet was just budgeting. It didn't mean anything. Call me. I did not call. She texted an hour later. Seriously? You're going to ghost me now? I typed back, no, Laura. I am not ghosting you. I am just matching your energy. Then I blocked her number. Not out of revenge. Out of peace. Because some doors you close not to punish the person on the other side, but to finally hear yourself breathe. That was 4 months ago. My room is still small. The toilet still runs. But I have a kettle now. A real one. I make tea every morning and sit by the window and watch the river turn gray then gold as the sun comes up. Claire sent me a blanket for my birthday. She is flying up next month to visit. She said, Mom, I'm so sorry I didn't tell you about the loan. I said you were protecting me. That's what we do. But now let's protect each other by being honest. She cried again. I didn't. I am done crying over people who treat love like a transaction. Laura has tried to reach out through cousins, through old neighbors, even through Deborah once. Deborah told her Maggie is fine. She just doesn't want to be found. That is the truth. I am fine. I am better than fine. I am free. What did I learn? That a promise without respect is just a leash with a pretty handle. That family is not blood. It is who shows up when you have nothing to offer. And that sometimes the most dignified thing you can do is walk away without a speech, without a fight, without a final scene. You just go. You close the door. You block the number. And you learn that being alone is not the same as being lonely. One is a room. The other is a cage. I live in a room now. And I finally unlocked the door myself. If this real life story hit you somewhere real, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs permission to walk away from a table where they are not welcome. Subscribe to this channel for more calm, honest stories from the heart. No fake drama. Just real women telling the truth.